Welcome to There's a Method to the Madness. My name is Rob Maxwell. I'm an exercise physiologist and personal trainer. I'm the owner of Maxwell's fitness programs, and I've been in business since 1994. All right, so the purpose of the Method to the Madness is to get to the bottom of what really works, talking about the science and the art of personal training and health and fitness, and help you cut through all the BS that's out there, hence the name, The Method to the Madness. I first want to thank our excellent sponsors, Jonathan and Lynn Gilden of the Gilden Group at Realty Pros. They handle both residential and commercial properties, and you know what? They are absolutely number one in Volusia County. So success begets success. If you need any help, give them a shout at 386-451-2412. All right, so speaking of Mr. Gilden, his question is being fielded today. If you've been listening all week, you know that this is the short 10-minute podcast of is this good for me or is this true? And I've been tackling a question or so per day. They've been piling up, which is kind of good. And Mr. Gilden had two. I'm going to go ahead and answer this one because it's kind of more of a question. And that is, he had heard on another podcast that there's a certain metric number regarding calorie burn and exercise, if there's anything to that. And the number he heard was 500 calories. All right, so that is a good question. So first off, let me talk just a little bit about metrics. Metrics is something that you can measure. So I believe personally, science backs me up, but also there is an art and science to health and fitness. And I was just discussing that with a client this morning. But personally, I believe metrics are good. I think it's good to measure things. It's not true how we feel all the time. Sometimes we don't feel very good. Sometimes we feel kind of low. And, feelings aren't facts all the time. We should always listen to our body. But yes, I believe metrics are very important. So his question was concerning calorie burn and exercise. So again, he had heard that 500 calories was a really good benchmark for a workout. And the answer is kind of, I have to table it, not table this. I have to kind of be careful with this. Overall, the answer is yes. 500 is a good metric. Now, 500 is also not easy for the general population to achieve. I mean, to be honest, sometimes we're happy if we can get somebody to burn 100 to 150 calories. So 500 is a great number, but it may not be overly easy for a person in the general population to hit. Now, if somebody is an avid exerciser and they are training most days of the week, like at least 5 days a week, and they're putting in an hour of exercise, then 500 calories isn't overly difficult to achieve, although it is still a good number to achieve. So 500 then is a good metric. Now, I think where this podcast host got their information from was that a while back, the American College of Sports Medicine was doing different things that they can measure and evaluate to determine a good workout. And oftentimes we use frequency, intensity, time, and the frequency is how many days a week to exercise. The intensity in the case of cardio is heart rate usually. In the case of strength training, it's typically the load you're using, and the time is a duration, not typically miles, but like 30 minutes, 40 minutes. That is one metric that's used. Another one is caloric burn, and what the researchers found was that 500 calories of active calories burned is a very high metric to shoot for. In other words, that was a metric that led to great adaptations and benefits. And so that's where some of that research came from. And then the podcaster heard about it. And the podcaster is a pretty knowledgeable guy for sure. he heard about it, and they were talking about like they wanted people on their show, from what I gathered, to do it, and he was going to do it. So yes, it's a good number. Now it's fairly arbitrary. I mean, it's it's 500. In other words, there's not a huge difference between that and 450. Like, it's not a magic number, but it is absolutely a good number to strive for. Again, if you are looking at the range of 60 minutes, or you're an avid exerciser that pushes the intensity quite a bit. I'm just careful with this because I know a lot of people who need the most fitness aren't the ones that are going to easily achieve that, so I don't want them to get discouraged and quit. It is something to shoot for. Now, when it comes to strength training, although a calorie burned is a calorie burned, so yes, this would equal, if you did your strength training and cardio together, it would all equal 500, yes. But when it comes to strength training, two things to keep in mind. Number one, calories burned in a workout isn't the best metric for strength training. The best metric for strength training would be the loads that are used and the reps, but primarily the loads. Like, we should leave every workout feeling like we're at least striving to get stronger. I say striving because we'll reach a point where we don't always hit those numbers, but we should always be striving to get stronger. That's the most important metric in the workout. Now, calories tell us something, because if we burn more calories during the workout, we weren't sitting around as much, so that's good. But we don't want it to become such the focus that we have to use less weight because we're too tired to do the sets. So keep that in mind. Now, regarding cardio, yes, it is a good metric to use. Along with heart rate, along with duration, it is a good metric to use. So if you told yourself that instead of saying I'm going to do 30 minutes at whatever intensity, I'm going to do 300 calories, or in the case of this question, 500 calories, yes, that is absolutely a metric that can work for you. And what I told Jonathan today, as we talked a little bit about this subject before I hopped on and started the podcast, that we use heart rate, we use duration, and I use a performance. That's what I like to use. So duration is how long, heart rate is how hard, and then a metric of, and what did that equate to? Not that we have to kill ourselves every time that we work out, but again, we should always be trying to achieve something. So caloric burn could be a good metric for that, because the harder you're working, you're absolutely going to burn more calories. That is absolutely true when it comes to cardiovascular or aerobic exercise. So, for example, when we're weight bearing, like running, walking, jogging, climbing, hiking, we're burning more calories. Anytime we're weight bearing versus non-weight bearing, such as sitting on a bicycle seat, we're burning more calories. Does that mean it's always better? No, but it does mean you're burning more calories. I mean, the best cardiovascular exercise for caloric burn is going to be something that makes you weight bearing. Again, walking, hiking, running, jogging, climbing, those types of things. You're just going to burn more calories. So you can really push the intensity up to where your rate of perceived exertion feels very hard on an indoor bike for sure, but your heart rate isn't going to hit what it is at, say, a lesser RPE when you're jogging. That's just the way it is. Doesn't mean one is better than the other. It means for caloric burn, if that is your ultimate goal, then weight-bearing exercise is going to benefit you more because your heart rate's going to be higher. You're going to be burning more calories. So that is a good metric. And to finalize the answer, it really comes down to that for cardiovascular exercise, yes, the 500 metric is a great thing. There is truth behind it, yes. For strength training, I would again say that we probably don't want to focus on caloric burn nearly as much as we do with cardio. All right, so that's a great question. It's a little different. Like, a lot of people don't think of calorie burn or think of heart rate or think of these things. They think of one or the other typically. So I think it was a very interesting question. All right, so now let me thank Overhead Door of Daytona Beach. They're absolutely the best for garage doors, absolutely the best for customer service. Jeff and Zach Hawk are the owners. They do a phenomenal job. I can't tell you the amount of times somebody's needed to get a hold of them. They got a hold of them and they fixed their garage door issue. So that's what really I think is the most important thing, is customer service. If you need a garage door or need any help, you can reach them at 386-226-3820.